apologies.
You expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
What's up, cinephiles? Welcome back if you've been here before. My name's Thomas, and this is Thomas Goes to the Movies. In this video, we're going to talk crossovers. In the terms of fictional media, a crossover is defined as a medium where two or more characters that would otherwise be separate are brought together within the same story. In layman's terms, if you take a character from one franchise and another from a different franchise, you smash them together and boom, you have a kick-ass crossover event. It's a concept that I'm sure a lot of us are all too familiar with. I mean, I'm sure there's been one point in your life where one of your favorite fictional TV show characters crossed over with another really popular television character or even a celebrity once or twice. When I was growing up, the big thing on the Disney Channel were the crossover specials that they did with their sitcoms, such as That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. I even remember that one time when the Flintstones and the Jetsons crossed over, and let's not forget the king of crossover. In film, one of the earliest examples of crossover came in the form of the Universal film Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman in 1943. Ever since, children throughout the years have asked one simple question: who would win in a fight between X and Y? An example of this I remember hearing a lot growing up being Superman vs. Goku. And then in 1993, Freddy snatched Jason's mask in the finale of Jason Goes to Hell. From that point on, there was only one question: who would win in a fight, Freddy or Jason? Believe it or not, there had been plans to make a Nightmare Friday crossover film since the late 80s. However, a deal could never be made between New Line and Paramount, owners of Nightmare and Friday respectively. After Jason Takes Manhattan bombed at the box office, events were set in motion that eventually led to the Friday IP being sold to New Line. And just like that, talks of a Freddy vs. Jason movie were underway once again, and it seemed like the stars were aligning. Freddy got his send-off in 1991's Freddy's Dead, and Jason was sent to hell in, well, Jason Goes to Hell. Then, of course, there's the aforementioned glove finale. Needless to say, the fans were thirsting for Freddy vs. Jason. After well over a decade of development hell, Freddy vs. Jason was eventually released in 2003, directed by Bride of Chucky filmmaker Ronnie Yu. The critics hated it, but it made well over $100 million in the box office, making it the highest grossing film in both franchises. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen this movie and are super sensitive to spoilers, this is your warning. If you have seen it and don't care about spoilers, then
Buckle up, buckaroo!
So let's get into the story. Like, what's this movie about? Well, in this film, Freddy, now powerless due to the lack of fear in the children of Springwood, searches hell for a way to return and continue his murderous agenda once more. He finds this in the form of hockey-masked mass murderer Jason Voorhees. Using his nightmare powers to infiltrate Jason's mind, he uses the guise of Jason's mother to help him rise from the grave.
I need you to go to Elm Street. The children have been very bad on Elm Street.
Seems like pretty solid instructions, right? I mean, there can't be that many towns with an Elm Street, right? Right?
Every town has an Elm Street.
Oh, Freddy, you ass. The only problem is, once you release a savage beast like Voorhees into the world, he's a little hard to stop. With Jason taking all of Freddy's kills, Freddy decides he can't stand for it, and a battle ensues between the two slasher icons. Does it hold up? Well, let's dive right in and take a look at the good, the bad, and the meh of Freddy vs. Jason. Starting with the good, which admittedly there's a lot of it when it comes to this film. It does a fantastic job bringing that cheesy 80s vibe we all love from the original franchises while sprinkling in that early 2000s cheesiness that I ascribed to 13 Ghosts in my previous video. The acting isn't super strong, but exactly what you want going into a film like this. Monica Keena is a serviceable lead as Laurie, and You get a little mark of the 2000s with Destiny Child veteran Kelly Rowland as Kia, popular That Guy actor Lachlan Monroe as Deputy Stubbs. They don't hold back with the stereotypes of those older films either. You have your nerd character like Linderman and your stoner character like Diet J. Freeberg. I genuinely think there's only one weak link in the acting, but we'll get to him in one of the other sections. The portrayals of the film's iconic duo was also great. Robert Englund juggles the creepy with comedy of Freddy really well here, probably the best that we've seen since Dream Warriors or The Dream Master. I'm also not much of a hater when it comes to Ken Kurtzinger as Jason. I'm sure a lot of the hate about it mainly comes from Kane Hodder fans being upset that Kane isn't wearing the mask, which I understand the sentiment, but Kurtzinger does a serviceable job here. When it comes to kills, this movie has them in spades. The kills are really good in this movie. The practical gore is effective when it's used. Admittedly, there's some really cheesy looking digital effects in some instances. However, much like this year's Renfield, I think it plays as a strength in this film. I especially want to give a special shout out to Trey getting folded in half, Stubbs getting electrocuted, and Freeberg getting cut in half. Very solid kills here. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention the fight scene finale between the two superstars. Solid piece of fan service. It's just blood, guts, and metal all the way through. God, this movie kicks ass. Moving on to the bad, and honestly, I only have two real complaints regarding this movie. One tied to the story, one tied to the kills. The one tied to the story is there's an aspect to the story that doesn't really make sense to me. There's the part in this movie where they introduce this aspect to Jason's character of he's afraid of the water. And I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Water is tied to Jason's backstory in a major way. He could totally be afraid of water. Except he's seen killing so many people in the water. It just doesn't fly for me, and they really shouldn't have gone there. The other complaint that I have regarding the kills, it's not about the quality of the kills themselves, but I take issue with the fact that they put Freddy and Jason in a movie together and only gave Freddy one kill. Brendan Fletcher's character. Now, Freddy's my dude, and I can't stand for that kind of disrespect. It doesn't help that overall, it's a rather weak kill. The setup is cool. Mark wanders into the bathroom to get some pills to help him stay awake. Freddy fucks with him by masquerading as his deceased brother, Scott Farkas. And ultimately, Freddy just sets him on fire and slashes his face. Really weak kill for being the only one that Freddy gets. He gets a really neat fake-out kill early on, but that's about it.
She's mine! Mine!
And as far as the meh when it comes to this movie, I have to admit that I wasn't a big fan of Jason Ritter's character, Will Rollins. I mentioned earlier that there was a weak link in the acting. This is it. I don't know. There's just some scenes where he does really well, but for the majority of his screen time, I just don't buy his performance. All in all, Freddy vs. Jason is a fun, cheesy early 2000s slasher that really stands up with its predecessors, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't have the strongest acting, but not terrible considering the movie. It's held down only by the fact that they only gave one of their major stars one kill, and a really dumb story beat that just doesn't make any sense when you put any amount of thought into it. As with any movie, know the kind of fan you are. If you're the kind that loves cheesy 80s slashers but don't mind a little 2000s cheese on top, then I recommend you add this one to the collection and buy it. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to hit the like button and dislike if you disliked it. This was a new kind of video for me, and I don't really have any other experience writing reviews like this. Don't hesitate to tell me down in the comments what I could improve or focus on more. I'd definitely love to do more of these in the future. Next month's video will admittedly be a little self-indulgent, where I get to talk about more of my absolute favorite movies, so be sure to subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss that. Thanks again, Cinephiles, and until next time, may the Force be with you.